Hey everyone, are you ready for me to take you somewhere you've never been before? Welcome to Living and Loving. I am Monique McCall, country music recording artist, singer, songwriter, and I'm here to share my message of living and loving with all of you. And today we have a very, very special guest with us, Andrea Vallely from Shift Happens. And oh, yes, it does. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to all of you. And she is just one of the most brilliant ladies I know. She's a transformative coach, and she's transformed my life in so many brilliant ways. And I'm so grateful for you, Andrea. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here today and for your willingness to share your message of living and loving with all of us and what you're doing to give back. So
thank you, Monique. I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And, just being in your light, Andrea, honestly, you don't even need to say anything. It's just like no words need to happen in the dialogue. Just being around you in your presence, I have to say, has transformed my life so much. So would you tell everyone what you're doing to live in love and how you're out there giving back?
Wow. So what I'm doing to live in love, you know what? I am embracing me, embracing the authentic me, looking within. And I think the best way that I can be the presence of love is to look within. And I learned that the hard way, like most people do, because we're not brought up to look within for our answers. We're sort of brought up to want to fix things on the outside in order to have peace of mind, thinking that that's going to bring us our happiness and that will bring us stability. And for a short period of time, the things outside of us will. But where I find that my peace is, and where I know everyone's peace is within. And that truly is the best way to be the best friend you can be the best sister or brother or wife or husband or teacher or mom or dad or kid, is to look within for your own peace of mind, because that's where it all starts. And then from there, we get to enjoy our relationships more and just enjoy our life more and not be at the mercy of other people or circumstances or things that are going on around us. And I think COVID's been a great example of that, because nobody expected this to happen. Nobody could have even, who could have even thought something worldwide like this would happen?
No, so everyone's lives were altered. And I think that's what everybody had to go within. And, and it's that looking inside of yourself and staying within and not looking to the outside for anything. I think that's where you really find the peace, you find the happiness, you find, that soulful energy that then you can emit your light to the world.
Yeah,
yes.
That's exactly it. And we all got a big taste of that, because for so many of us, our security blanket was taken away. Our going to our job, going to school, whatever it was. Those things that we thought were a given no longer were a given.
That's right. So, like, change is good. You go first.
Yeah. So I think that was so huge for everybody, because it was like, oh, wait a second, I can't rely on the outside for my peace of mind. So we got to look within and see we already have everything that we need to be joyful, to be okay in life. We are resilient, and we really got a chance to see that's not coming from the outside. That actually is deep within every single one of us.
Yes. And, it's this conversation that I really love having with you. Everyone needs to have this conversation with you, Andrea, because I garnered so much. And one of the things that came from it was my newest single that's coming out, Living from the Inside Out.
Yeah, I'm getting chills when you say that.
And I'm really, really so excited to release that. That should be coming up in May. And I thank you.
I got chills.
Message. And I'm so happy I could take your message and put it to song, because, it really comes to life even more.
Thank you. So it's your message, Monique, because you saw it. I can share what I see. And I think, that's what we do as coaches, is we share what we see and we sort of compare notes, but we're pointing to truth. That's the bottom line. We are pointing to what's true. And I'll never forget when, one day you called me and you told me, well, yeah, I wrote a song. I'm like, what? You're like, oh, I wrote a song about what we're seeing together. You did? And it was just, mind blowing. And the chills, it was just incredible. But that came through you, Monique. That's what was so beautiful, is it just came through you.
To me from you, and then it came through me, which was where the really exciting part happened. And, there's so many stories that you shared with me, and I just want to point out a few because I think everybody needs to know these stories and these messages. And one of them, which is portrayed in the song, is about the light, and that beautiful analogy you gave me of being in this room full of objects. And I think you could say it better than I can. And when you switch that light on, so go ahead.
Yeah. So I remember the conversation. So, what we tend to do is it's almost like we're in a warehouse with the lights off, and all we have is a fixed flashlight, and that fixed flashlight is shining on, let's say, a chair. So all we think that's available to us is a chair. So this is how we sort of move through life if we don't see that everything's possible, if our mind is really, really busy and really cluttered. So it looks as though the only thing that's available for us is this chair. So we're whining and saying, oh, the only thing in my life is this chair. There's no more that's available to me than this chair. And then somebody turns the light on, and you're in a warehouse with everything you could possibly need available to you. It's this giant, huge warehouse. Everything is available. To me, that's a metaphor for life. When we're so fixed on what we don't like or what we don't want or just one little thing, we can't see what's available to us. It's like, driving down the street, or somebody tells you about the most amazing dry cleaner, and you realize that dry cleaner is right around the corner from your house, and you've been driving past that dry cleaner to go to work for 10 years, but you never knew it was there. Like, that's sort of an analogy for what's available for us in life when we're open to it, when we allow ourselves to see what's already available.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
For everybody.
Yeah. And that comes out in the song, and there's a line in the song that I think kind of goes with that analogy of switching the light on, or finding that light and seeing everything and putting it all together, and touching on the endless possibilities. And the one line that came from that is, sometimes you find the light in the darkest
places. I can hear it. I'm getting the chills. I can hear your beautiful tone. I can hear that magnificent melody. It's so beautiful. And that came through you, Monique. I mean, I'll never forget that day. I was like, okay, wait, I think we had talked like a handful of times. I mean, it wasn't very long. I hadn't known you very long. It was less than a month, actually. And I was like, whoa, this girl saw something big. It was just amazing. Well, and then you put on your little phone, and, because we couldn't see each other. COVID was going on. So we were like, literally, you had your little phone set up, and you played your guitar, and you're singing it for me. It was just beautiful.
Thank you, Andrea.
I think you had a little acoustic something going on in the background. I don't remember, but I remember you sitting there, and I was thinking, you have that voice just like at any moment, what? That just comes out of you. And I remember one time you thanked me, and you were like lying down. I'm like, what?
Well, that's the way I feel about you. I'm like, where do these words come from? They just flow right out of you. It's unbelievable what you do, the work that you do, and, sharing this message of living truly from the inside out. And one of my favorite stories, so to get to another one, is the story you tell about the dragons.
Yes. So
the dragon story. I love the dragon story.
Yeah. When I'm like, Monique, there's no dragons, but I can't take credit for that story, because that actually is a Michael Neal story. But he tells this, he's one of our mentors. He's just an amazing author and teacher and coach. And he tells this story about, basically, it's like we're held up in a castle, trying to, putting all these walls around our castle, trying to protect ourselves from life, thinking, well, there's dragons out there, so I can't go out. But so the metaphor is,
I can't do that.
Right. I can't do this. I can't do that, because we make up things to be afraid of that really don't exist. So the metaphor is, wait, there are no dragons. But it's true, because everything that we experience is coming through this beautiful, magnificent, creative genius inside of us called thought.
And we all have it. I mean, everybody has this within them.
We do. And we experience life through thought. So if our thought is scary, we are going to feel scared. But when we really look at it and say, wait a second, is that actually happening? Or is that a projection of, or am I futurizing? Is that something that's a projection that's not actually here in the moment? So we can live, if we have thoughts that are, insecure thinking and feeling super scary and futurizing, we're going to live in a very scary world, and we're going to be afraid that there are dragons. But when we see that that so much of that is just projection, it's not actually happening in the moment. It's not in the present moment. It's something that we're futurizing. It's like, oh, wait a second. I don't have to live there. I don't have to live there. I have a really crazy relationship with that thought. But that's not actually what is happening in the moment. That's not true. So there's freedom to that, to know that, we can go into a state of worry, we can go into a state of fear, we can start having regrets, but none of that is in the present moment. And that's where we get ourselves really messed up, is we put so much energy into either woulda, coulda, shoulda, or what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're in those spaces, we're not actually present in the moment. So the lights aren't on.
And what I love about this dialogue is, when you talk about, just having nothing on it.
Yeah.
When we just do nothing, which when you break down that word, it's no thing.
Yeah.
And I love that analogy of just nothing on it.
Yeah.
In the place where there's nothing to do, nothing to see, because it's already there. It's right there waiting for you.
Yeah. So I love that. When I say nothing on it, what I'm suggesting is when we create from the heart without attachment to the outcome. Mm-hmm. So we don't have any attachment to to our projected thinking. We're just, I can do that with nothing on it. I can write my book because I want to write my book, not write my book to be a bestseller. I'm going to sing because I love to sing, not to sing so that, I'm going to win a Grammy. I garden because I love to garden, not because I want to be the best gardener.
Right. So those are the dragons. Part B is that's the dragon.
Yeah. So when we just, like you say, like your podcast, living and loving, when we just live and love without attachment to the outcome, being up for anything, that's where our freedom is. That's where our freedom of mind is. Because you and I always talk about, it's like, how the heck are we supposed to know better than the universe what's best for us? So sometimes when we think, to get to C, we have to take route B. We're making that up. What if route B is not the right route for us? So it's just sort of allowing life to happen and being okay with it. So this doesn't mean that we're just sitting back in lotus position, but what it means is if something happens that we don't like, there's a sense of trust that there's a better plan, that, that happened for my greatest good, or I'm learning something from this. And you'll find, and you in general, not you particularly, but in general, you'll find that when we're okay with circumstances, something better has an opportunity to show up that we probably wouldn't have seen if we tried to, put a square peg in a round hole. And that's what a lot of us do. It's like, I have a degree in, law, so I have to be an attorney. I have to be an attorney. I have to be an attorney. But they really don't want to be an attorney, and they're wondering why they're not doing so well. Well, maybe that's not really where your heart is. Maybe that's not really where you are going to share your light with the world. And we're so stuck on things that we think that they're solid and they're not.
So that brings me to where does the brilliance come in? Do you have that handy little globe in front of you?
Pearl, hold on a minute. We're going to shift some things up.
Yeah, shift happens.
Yes. I have my toys here in my toy box.
Pull out that globe, because I want you to show the listeners where the brilliance comes in and how you can see the brilliance and it can flow right in.
So this is our little mascot, the snow globe. And this is a metaphor. It sort of represents a very busy mind. So, when the snow globe is turned over, it's very busy. You can't see through it. And when our mind gets busy, we're cluttered. We can't figure things out. And what we tend to do when our mind gets busy is, we almost want to put more in it and think, well, let me think this through. But our magic, our wisdom, like you were saying, our light, comes when we have a quiet mind. And what's so beautiful, that's where our wisdom comes from. It's when, that's why we say there's nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to see in what's available to
Mm-hmm.
us. But our wisdom comes from a quiet mind. So when we let our busy mind settle, which it does naturally on its own, when we don't mess with it, right? When we just sort of take a break, our mind will settle. And when our mind settles, that's when our natural wisdom comes through. And we all have this available to us. This is like our, I just got a great idea. That's where these things come from. They don't come from a book. They come from a quiet mind. And that's where we get inspiration. And we all see this. Nothing I'm saying is like, oh, wow, I've never heard of that or seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
But we just don't actually look at it and say, oh, wow, this is how I work. We think that it's a fluke. Oh, I came up with a great idea. I don't know how that happened. Well, it happened because when we just slow down, naturally our mind settles and there's room for something new. And that's when we can see the dry cleaner that we hadn't seen before, or all the furniture that's in the warehouse, or
right.
a new idea, the song. Like, that's where your song came from. Your mind, you had a quiet moment, and it just came through you. That's where all
my snow globe settled in.
Yeah.
And there was clarity.
Exactly. And here's the cool thing is, now that oh, wow, that's how I work, we can use that to our advantage. We can use this system that is built within us to our advantage. And that's really the biggest message is, we can use our mind as our best friend or our worst enemy. So we might as well use it as our best friend.
I agree. So how are you using your mind as your best friend? And how are you giving back? I know you give back so much in the work that you're doing, but what other ways are you giving back?
Yeah. So, well, I guess what you're asking is how, as far as this information, we are always working with different charitable organizations. We do lots of webinars. We do a lot of volunteer work with, right now, a project in Fort Lauderdale with kids in schools. So, our big thing is if anybody wants us to come and speak, we will come and speak, because
I think everyone needs a moment with Andrea Vallely, or of course your husband, because I know that you're the founders of Shift Happens.
Yes.
And you are a brilliant team.
Thank you.
Find that so inspiring, the love that you have between yourselves, and that you can really share that message without even arguing, which is fantastic.
Yeah. That is kind of cool. It's not that arguments don't happen, Monique. They do, but we know that, if we're not seeing eye to eye, we know it's okay.
Right.
Like, it's not a big deal. We all get we've talked about the traffic light. Like, we all get in the red. So we all get in low moods. We all have insecure thinking. And when we are in a low mood and we have insecure thinking, sometimes we don't, we send a text that we shouldn't have sent, or send an email that we shouldn't have sent, or just say something really kind of stupid. And but because we both have this understanding, we know that if we're in a low mood, it's temporary. We know not to take the other person so seriously. And we know that, we'll come back to clarity of mind sooner rather than later. So, it's not a big
in that
deal.
moment, you pull out the snow globe. You're like, Haley.
Exactly. Did you settle your snow globe? Wait, do you remember? Do you remember the little girl, Stephanie's daughter, with the snow globe?
Yes.
I have to I don't know if I told you this story, but Monique and I have a common friend, and she has a little girl. I think she's 6. And she knew about, I think I had shown her the little snow globe and what the snow globe represents. And I remember Stephanie called me one day and she's like, you're going to laugh. I have to tell you this. She said, I was in the red. I was just in a huff over something, business or work or something.
Yes.
And her little girl, Sam, went over to her and brought her the snow globe and said, something like, Mommy, are you going to settle your snow globe? And she just started to crack up. But that's why we're so passionate about sharing this message with everybody that we can share it with, because when we know that a messy mind isn't a problem, we don't have to do anything about it. We learn to just use our natural ability to clear our minds. And, like I said, where we get ourselves into trouble is we get in a low mood and we think we have to do something about it. And, sometimes we take action in a low mood and it doesn't turn out well.
Absolutely. So it's living in the place of nothingness. Just do nothing.
Yeah. And I have to can I tell you something funny? Because I don't want to take up too much time, but
No, go ahead. Tell me.
So when I first heard the do nothing, I remember thinking like, huh. And I remember like literally for a year, like Lee and I were like, okay, we're not supposed to do anything. And I mean, like literally until we saw, it didn't mean like, sit in lotus position and do nothing and don't run your business or don't be a parent or, don't be a daughter or whatever. What that actually means is we don't have to do anything about our busy mind.
Right.
We don't have to do anything about that. And I know you know that, but I wanted to make it clear because honestly, I didn't get that at first. But it just means like we don't have to do anything when our mind is busy and our thoughts are going crazy. We don't have to take it so seriously. We can allow it to settle. We're just having a really strong relationship with our thinking in the moment, but that's all it is. It's not anything that we have to do something about because we'll naturally settle on our own. And then if there's something to do, like if we were upset and there's something to do, we'll do it from a clear mind, from logic. Our logic will kick in. Okay, I don't like that situation. Here's what I need to do. But whatever we do will come from a place of love. It won't come a place of anger. You know what I mean?
Right. It's all about living and loving and staying in that place.
Yeah.
That clear place where you just let the thinking go and let it flow.
Yeah.
And so with that, I wanted to think about this with you for a minute. So I have a question for you because I always want to know as an artist and a musician.
Yeah.
And I know this is a really tough one because it's hard to choose one, but can you tell me what song, one song, resonates with your soul and sums up the essence of your being?
Wow, that's a really big question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I have the answer to summing up the essence of my being, but actually maybe it is the answer. There's a song called Golden by Jill Scott. And
I love that song. You're going to sing it for me?
No, I'm not going to sing it for you. But I mean, it's always been like my anthem. Like I've always just loved it. It's like I'm taking my freedom off the shelf. I'm wearing it around my neck on my chain. I'm taking it with me because it's my birthright. I mean, she doesn't say it's my birthright, but in essence, that's what she says. I'm taking my freedom. I'm pulling it off the shelf. I'm taking it. My freedom is within me. I am not, my freedom of mind is the gift to all of us. So that song, I'm holding on to my freedom. You can't take it from me. I was born into it. It comes naturally. Like that song has always just absolutely resonated with me. Like we have freedom of mind available to us at all times. So I guess maybe that could be my theme anthem, but that's always been like my absolute fave.
That's a great song and a great choice. And Andrea, you know what? I thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your message. Shift Happens. Everyone needs to check it out. What is your website again? Remind me.
shifthappens.global.
Okay, shifthappens.global. So everybody go there, check it out. Check out Andrea and Lee, the beautiful work they're doing. They're transforming lives. They're sharing their brilliance. They're sharing their freedom within, and never look to the outside. I am Monique McCall. You can check me out at moniquemccall.com and on all the platforms. This is Living and Loving, and you can see it every Thursday at 4 p.m. We're going to air on Facebook and LinkedIn, so make sure you tune in every week because I'm going to have a special guest for you. Andrea, I love you.
Thank you. I love you, Monique.
Brilliant. And I don't ever know how to thank you for all the information that you've shared with me, all the information today. And all I can say is to everyone, you know what? There's endless possibilities. There's endless opportunities. And there's so many blessings and beautiful surprises waiting for you. So please, 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 please get out every day and live and love. I'll see you next week.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
You take me there, somewhere I've never been before, like a storybook fairy tale about a girl who was rescued by her knight who saved before.